Yep. Ooh.
Right. Hi there, everyone. Graham Fletcher here from Awaken Your Highest Self, and I've got the pleasure of the company of the lovely Judith Collins, who is out in New South Wales in Australia. Hi there, Judith.
Hello, Graham.
How are you doing?
Well, busy bee, busy bee.
Busy bee, excellent. Well, we've got a bit of a focus on how to understand the human aura in day-to-day living is our intention to chat about today. But just to remind people, if they want to get in touch with Judith, do you want to tell people how they can have aura readings from you online if they'd like to? Do you want to mention that now?
Well, they can just contact the website, yourhumanaura.com, and you can either get a full drawing and analysis done, or if you're in a quandary or stressed over something, you've got to make a decision, you don't know what to do, you don't feel secure in doing it, or something's happening in your life that's a major change. I have a turnaround, what I call the turnaround service. It's called Help Me Now Q&A service. So people can detail 2 questions. I don't need to have photos or anything of their aura. I can tune straight into auras, and then I answer all their questions and give the details and give them indications of time frames and how to proceed and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
I particularly love doing that because I'm helping people who are who are being challenged or traumatized by something, you know. I love doing it.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, I'm hoping that lots of people are going to get in touch with you to find out more about that. But yeah, thanks for sharing. So
that's all right.
So yeah, the topic was to get some deeper understanding from you as somebody who's seen auras since you were a child about how to understand your aura in day-to-day living. So what's your thoughts on that as a subject matter?
Well, first of all, I'll explain the aura so that people understand. Number one, it's a blueprint of who you are, what you think, what you feel, what you like, what you don't like, what you smell, what you taste, what you listen to, what you read, the conversations that you have with people, and really what you believe. That's what your aura represents, every part of you. There's a nonsense out there in the world that says, people come up to me and say, what color is my aura? Could you tell me what color my aura is? And given that I've just described exactly what the aura is, you could see that it could never be one color, because all colors they represent different things. And so the colors around your head usually only stay in that location for they fluctuate, and they'll stay there for 15, 20 minutes. But if it becomes a belief system or a thought that you're going to hang on to, somebody might give you a piece of advice and you hang on to that. Or you may have read a page in a book and you think, oh, that's good information, and you hang on to that. Well, that starts to move down the body because it becomes part of your reality, how you're moving forward, how you're thinking. Maybe it's a little change in your life, a new belief system. Something is happening there. And so all the things that become part of your reality through your thinking, feeling, smelling, tasting, all of those things, they start to form a multiple of patterns and a multiple layers of all different colours in the human aura. I recently did an aura for a lady in Malaysia, right? Because I do them all around the world because they're online. And her aura was riddled, absolutely riddled, with all these little pockets of negative self-talk. And I said to her, you must not be getting very far. And she said, oh, no. She said, I can't think straight. I can't. And she was beating herself up. And the aura showed all the patterns, why she was beating herself up, how long she'd been beating herself up. She'd been doing this for about 9 or 10 months. And so the aura will give you The other thing that people need to, before we start getting into understanding our aura, auras produce timelines. If you think of how we have timelines in our day-to-day life. So, for instance, you might be sitting down at the dining room table one day and you say, oh, let's buy a new house. This one's too small. Or let's downsize. This one's too big. So that becomes a thinking pattern. So you begin to research it. All the research becomes part of a reality. So you now walking in that reality, and that changes all those colours. And I'm going to go through a few colours that people can understand what's going on in their life and how that colour relates to their life. So that becomes part of your reality. The next thing that happens is that you go out and you look at these houses and you might choose one. Then you go to the bank and you renegotiate your loans if you need to do that. You're meeting with professional people, signing contracts with lawyers and so on. So that all becomes part of your reality. Now, in your aura, because that's taken maybe 3 months to find the place that you want to buy, and then it's taken you 2 weeks to get in with the banks, and then it's taken you another week and a half to get in with the solicitor, then it takes you another 8 or 3 months to start, after you've exchanged contracts, to start packing up the house and moving. So the aura would give you that whole timeline. So I can say to people, when I'm doing the question and answer for people who are needing answers quickly, or when I'm doing a complete aura analysis, I always give them the timeline. So in that case, we could say the aura might say that that's a 5-month timeline. And that's the process of it. All the colours make the pattern, only because we've already formed that into our reality and we're taking those steps. So all the colours in the aura start to line up for every step you've got to do. You're going to have colours of challenging because you're going to go to a solicitor and you might be a bit anxious as to how to understand the contract and those types of things, right?
Mm.
Or you might be very anxious about going to the bank. So those colours come into your aura. They're all there. The whole reality that's shaping up. One of the most interesting colour combinations to do is when I meet an entrepreneur or an inventor or a scientist who's researching. Their aura timelines can be 5, 6, 7 years long, simply because the scientist is working on researching. In my healing, the healing that I've done for many years, I've worked with a lot of doctors, and one doctor who was researching how to heal cancer naturally, his journey has taken him, wow, from being a normal general practice doctor to re-educating and becoming a surgeon, because he wanted to do this research, getting research grants, going off to America, going off to China, all these things that he busy aura. The timeline for him was 11 years long. 11 years.
Okay.
And all those little patterns, all those intricate patterns were sitting in his aura.
Okay.
And he thought it was very strange because in 1995, I was at doing a lecture, and I saw that there was a health symposium on. I saw the big sign and I thought, oh, I wonder what that's about. And I walked in and I saw this interesting, bewildered, lost, frustrated, delayed reality aura just sitting in the crowd. I could see it at the top. And I pushed my way through the crowd very gently, and I saw this man, and I went up and I took him by the hands, poor man, took him by the hands, and I said to him, you're a doctor or a healer of some sort, and things aren't working out. You've got to come and see me and we'll work it out. Well, he didn't know who I was. He didn't believe in auras or anything like that. But he did come to see me because he was so frustrated. And he said, well, how did she know that? Why did she single me out and nobody else in the crowd, Jai? Because there were other doctors there, but I grabbed him, right?
Yeah,
So then we became the best of friends for all the years since 1995. Well, he's been knighted, right, for all the work that he's done. Now, his journey, his first auric journey was 11 years long, 11 years. And I could see that. And I could see what the journey was. I could see how delayed it was, and then how joyous it was, and how rewarding it was, and how other doctors would criticize his method, and because they felt threatened by it. And so that just gives you an understanding. Yeah.
And so are you saying that if somebody is in the middle of the timeline, that you can see the parameters of the timeline? Or
yes, you can see the parameters.
Right.
You can read if they've already, like an entrepreneur's already started their journey, or a scientist has already begun to put the pieces together to make a new discovery. Then you can see the beginnings of it in the aura, because the astral aura, there's 3 layers up on the astral aura, has all the things that you did yesterday, last year, the year before. That's why if you go to hypnosis, go to a hypnotherapist, they can take you way back, because it's all just stuck there in that layer of the aura. When we die, we take all that with us. It's all our memory. That's where our mind, and they're looking for the mind in the body, but I suspect that it's sitting in the astral layer of the aura, because it records absolutely everything. It's a video recorder, just records everything in life. And so you can go to, say, for instance, you go to a hypnotherapist because you can't sleep, and say a woman can't sleep and she's nervous all the time, and she's withdrawn, finding it hard to keep a job, and this goes on and on and on for years. Finally, somebody says to her, you've got to go to a hypnotherapist. The hypnotherapist puts her through Gestalt therapy, taking her right back, and find out that she was sexually abused at the age of 3, and she'd blanked it out of her mind. But it was enough to infiltrate all her behaviour and make her nervous, anxious, not trusting people, not believing people, all part of her behaviour. Yeah. So the astral layer of the auras all got it there. I've been working with some hypnotherapists and some doctors who do that in their practice as well, psychiatrists and that, to look at what you can pull out of the astral aura. Yeah.
And the astral aspects of the aura, how would you say there's a connection between those and the concept of someone's soul, or is that a different kind of area? How would you say there's a connection?
That's a very interesting, that's a very, very interesting question, because as you know, I have had the pleasure and the honour to be with people when they were dying, that gave me that provided me with the insight to watch what happens to the body and the aura when it actually dies, you know?
Right, yeah.
And I'm going, wow, the aura becomes alive. It absolutely becomes alive. It's far more electric, more vibrant. It starts to move in areas that it's never moved before. There's a whole range of different things. It's quite exciting and fascinating. Once I saw one, I had to see more and more and more and more and more just to get that information. I suspect that the soul sits somewhere, as we know the soul. The soul is, I know for a fact in the aura that the soul and the spirit of the mind, as we know the mind, are all connected together. The brain's got nothing to do with it. The brain is a muscle, right? We're talking about the mind that lives on.
Yeah.
So the brain is processing things, as we know. You can think or whatever, but all our memories, everything that we believed, our favourite food, the person we first fell in love with, the joys of our firstborn child, all of those things are just sitting in there. Everything we've ever seen, even the poor refugee children who come to a country and their parents and their grandparents and that have all been bombed or taken by soldiers, and there they are at 4 years old in a country where they don't know the language and they don't have any family. Well, that's sitting in there as the record as well. So I suspect, I suspect, I won't say 100%, but I suspect that I know that the soul and the mind as we know it are like that. They're like that. And I know that where the mind sits and how it functions. And I think the astral aura, because of its memory, because its ability to elate us out of our body for astral traveling, it can expand our spirituality. It can hold us in a path of depression, if that's what our learning curve is.
Okay.
It can do all these things. So the mind's got to be in there. It's got to be in there. And if it's not in there, it's recorded in there. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be very hard for anybody to prove it, I think. Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, there's research going on right now. It's been going on for about 3 years, but it's really heightening up, and it's linking all different countries where they're now starting to link out-of-body experiences at the point of surgery, on the processes of dying, but the person is revived. They've found a correlation all around the world. All around the world, they've found 2 or 3 different correlations in all the stories. And they're just saying, this is ridiculous. It's got to be true. It's got to be true. Because you've got people in India, you've got people in Ireland, you've got people in Canada, you've got people in Africa, you've got people in New Zealand. They're everywhere, all saying the same thing. Yeah. So doctors now are starting to look at it. We're not saying all doctors, but psychiatrists in particular are, because they realise that there's more to the mind, because psychiatrists and psychologists in their work, they often experience things, the same with hypnotherapists, they experience things that they don't readily talk about for fear of being criticised or judged. Yeah. This allows them now to put in all their data. They're bringing all the data together. One of the big universities in America is coordinating all of that at the moment from all around the world. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be very, very, very exciting. Yeah. So as far as I'll just say to people that as your aura progresses, as all your belief systems start to progress and they move down the body. Parts of the body signify how far you are on your journey, whether or not you need to pick up new skills, things you need to learn. Like it could be the fact that, somebody is just left school, but they don't drive a car. They've got to learn to drive a car in order to, it's the things you've got to learn. It shows what you're progressing for. It can be just a brand new mum who's pregnant and she's got to learn how to, oh my God, I've got a brand new baby, So the colours around your hands show a couple of things. They show natural abilities that you've got, natural abilities. They can also show, there can be a mix of colours that show that what you're focused on. Entrepreneurs have very, very bright red and orange sprays coming out of the between these fingers right here, right?
Okay.
And they will have those until they've achieved their business. If they start building a branch of the business or a subsidiary to the business, or they start getting shares in the business, these just keep going on and on and on. I love it when I find an entrepreneur. Their auras are just beyond anybody else's because their mind works at 100 miles an hour. Their creative mind works at 100 miles an hour. Their dreams are bigger and better than most people, and their fear levels are almost non-existent. Yeah, it's very, very interesting auras, and you can find them in all different types of things. They can be in the building trade, they can be in the medical trade, they can be amongst soldiers, they can be anywhere. You just find a natural born entrepreneur. Yeah. So once the colours move down your body, they start to show what you're taking forward in your life, what you're journeying. Say, for instance, we gave the exercise of downsizing, and so that couple would, in down part of their aura, would be moving, would be having to buy new furniture because their furniture doesn't fit. Do they have rooms, and are they babysitting grandchildren there? Have they stopped work? Are they still working? Will they get a part-time job? Do they join a community group? Do they go down to the local pub to find out, if they can meet people? All this stuff goes into their aura on their journey, right? Because somewhere in that aura, in the astral layer of the aura, that's why I think that's where I know, I'm quite sure that's where the mind is. Those colours start to form before those people even take those steps.
Oh, okay.
They haven't done it. So the soul and the mind, this is why I say the soul and the mind have to work as one, because the soul takes you on every journey that you're doing in life, everything. Doesn't matter what it is. That's where your soul takes you. But your mind's got to think about it and plan it. Yeah. And so I'm fascinated with that. As you know, I do a lot of research. I take groups of people and I test them in all different things so I can see what changes go on in the aura. Yeah, but anyway, that's that. So once the colours start getting down your legs and around your ankles and under your feet, it shows how you're progressing in life, what steps you are taking, what decisions you have to make, what changes are happening to you, whether they're traumatic or whether they're positive or whether they're shifting countries, moving to another country. All these things show it's how you are moving forward. But also, if you have mustard around your feet, it can show you that you're walking a path of deceitfulness. Oh, yes. So I thought what I'd do, if it's all right with you, I would go through, people often want to know how they feel in their aura. How do you know that it's there? How can you feel it? Well, you have energy centers here and here, the tips of the fingers. So you just get your hands like that, and you can just rub them like that. Just pull it around and you get the static. And that will just give you an idea, because your aura is electromagnetic and it will always give you static, right? So that's just a little thing. But what I want to do, if you think it's all right, is just, there's a whole lot of things that happen to us in day-to-day life, right? And they happen to all of us. And how I work with it, when it happens to me, I know what colour it is. Okay. So I know how to fix it, right? Okay. So I thought I'd just go through some of the colours that people experience in day-to-day life, right? Let's just say boy meets girl, falls in love. Oh, well, pitter-patter of the little hearts, takes them hours to say goodnight to each other. Then they have to see each other the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. This is souls meeting. They're very, 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 very strong when it pulls it together. And you've got a couple of shades of pale pink in there, little bit of mauve in there, a little bit of lilac in there. And they're the colours that hold it together. And why the lilac is in there, and this is my understanding of it, understanding the colour lilac, it's there to add cement to that love. Yeah, to cement it. Because love can be given anywhere. Right. But love doesn't have to be given to one person, committed to one person. But when you get certain colours that with that, they will make that commitment. Yeah, yeah. So, pink will be there if mum has a brand new baby. If dad's holding the baby for the first time, he'll get pink in his aura as well, right? Right. But other colours come in to change the shape of that love. Okay. The same with in separation and divorce. That pink disappears, completely disappears. It can come back if one person is helping the other partner recover. helping them in their healing. It can come back then, but it really does come in. First colour I want to say is that when you actually feel life is not happening for you, it's very, very, very slow, right? Very, very, very slow. Well, when it's slow, you know that you have mushroom in your aura. And so you can fix that by getting some of the strongest colours. My book, The Colour of Life, which is on my website, you can download it, has all the colours that show you how to cope with all these things. Say, for instance, if you had mushroom sitting in your aura and you feel as though your life is not getting you anywhere, so you've definitely got mushroom, and you think, well, how am I going to get around this? Well, you go out and you buy yourself a maroon tie, or you buy yourself a maroon shirt, or you go and buy yourself a maroon pair of socks, but you do something with maroon and you get it into your life thick and fast, because that's the colour of self-empowerment. Okay. And that will bring you out of it. There's a number of colours that are so strong in the aura, and that's something else I'll say too. There are some colours in auras that only stay for a couple of days. Okay. Then there's other colours that form patterns and they become part of your reality for the next 18 months of your life. Okay. It's a fascinating, all my life I've just studied the human aura. But most people come to me and say, oh, I just don't, nothing seems to be working for me. And of course they will have mushroom, and they'll have mushroom on their shoulders, and they'll have mushroom down their arms, and they're the colours that conduct your life.
And what colour would you associate with mushroom then?
Mushroom. Yeah. Go out and pick a mushroom. Okay. And then you'll find out what colour it is. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because there's another colour where you feel as though you're plodding on, you feel as though you're making some progress, but you're not making it fast enough. You're taking 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. And you're thinking, why aren't I moving? I'm doing everything right. Why isn't it going ahead properly? Easy. You've got sepia somewhere around your knees. Sepia is, I suspect, because the people I see it in are doing a lot of work on themselves, whether it's in a career or whether it's university study or whether or not spiritual development. So we've got sepia can appear anywhere. It can be an artist who's done a painting and just can't finish it. Right. And sepia is just sitting there in their aura. Now, why does sepia come in? I suspect that sepia is there to make us stop, think, look, listen. There's some kind of learning associated with it, because it just pops in. It doesn't travel down the aura like other colours travel down the aura. And you have to wait until they get into the spot to really feel the effect of them. Sepia doesn't. It just pops in. And I suspect that it's a soulful lesson. There are some colours that come in that I believe, and they come out of the astral layer of the aura. All the colour in the aura comes from the etheric twin layer of the aura. But these colours are brought in by the astral. So they've got some kind of purposeful meaning behind them. That's what I think sepia is. Okay. A lot of people that go into, say, ashrams, and they live in an ashram for 2 years and they're doing all the study, and then they come back and they move into society, which they find quite challenging. And they're just not getting ahead very fast. And you'll find that even though they've been devoted to developing themselves and they've done a lot of work on themselves, sepia has come in to say, stop, look, listen, learn. What do you got to listen and learn? That's what I sort of get. Now, let's talk about people in our lives, hey? We'll go through a few colours. Relationships. That's something people ask me about. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of a pointer. We've got about 3.5 minutes left just for the length of recordings. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Well, the colors that you have, if somebody is lying to you, they've got lemon yellow in their aura. If someone is deceitful, you can't trust them, they've got mustard in their aura. If someone is wants to put their best foot forward, they've got cream in their aura. So if you've got someone who's enthusiastic and happy, they've got caramel in their aura. If you've got, let me see, if someone's a hard worker at work, you've got russet brown, they're the hard workers. If somebody in your family's got a lot of common sense, they've got dark brown. If somebody you know has been suffering from mental stress and can't ever seem to get over it, no matter what therapy they have, they've got dark green energy in their aura. If somebody is going through a whole new life span, a new life force, beginning and creating a new thing, they've got apple green in their aura. If you've got somebody suffering from confusion, they've got straw yellow, the color of straw, that's in their aura. There's all these interesting mood type things. Just let me think. What? Oh, and if somebody's immature, if you find somebody's immature, they've got dusty pink in their aura. People that don't grow up, right?
Okay.
They've got pockets of dusty green in their aura. If you've got, just trying to think, if somebody in your life is dependable, reliable, they've got delft blue around the knees and around the wrists, because they make them someone you can always depend on, somebody you can always rely on. Yeah. If you've got somebody who's dogmatic in your life, they are a yellow-orange colour. There's those shades in their aura, and they'll be around the hips, because the hips are how we behave ourselves and whatever. But yeah, there's all different colours to describe all different moods. If you've got somebody who is, let's see, has mood swings, then that's Prussian blue and pale blue combined together, usually around under the arms and down the hips. So that's mood swings. So you can define all the different types of behaviours.
Yeah.
There's some wonderful, wonderful things too, because if you have someone who is just lovely to know, just lovely to know, they'll have apricot sitting in their aura.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
If your best friend, if you find there's someone in the family that everybody goes to talk to, they've got apricot in their aura.
okay. I'm just going to be really organised and press pause on the video, because I think we're close to the end of the time. So you